Wednesday, June 1st, 2022 to order at 6 p.m. May we stand to do the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Carol, may I have a roll call, please?
Yes, Chairman. Commissioner Heather Moeller is excused. Commissioner Terrell Moore.
Here.
Vice Chair Judy Bory.
Here.
Commissioner D.L. Kine.
Here.
Commissioner Luciano Buzin. Absent. Commissioner Frank Schoenbeck.
Here.
Chairman Wayne Standage.
Here.
Thank you. We have 5 present, and we have a quorum, Mr. Chair.
Okay. The commission may at this time take single action on any or all items listed as consent agenda items. Any member of the commission may remove any item from the consent agenda for discussion and cause a separate vote on the matter later in the agenda. Do I have a motion to accept the whole agenda, consent agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Parks and Recreation Commission accept the agenda as presented and approve the minutes from the May 4th, 2022 regular meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. You got them both down, Carol?
I do.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. We're now down to number 5, information and report.
Wayne, I'm going to do a roll call. Or, I'm sorry.
Did I?
Yeah. So
No,
Commissioner.
I skipped past the roll call.
Roll call. Commissioner Frank Schoenbeck.
Yes.
Commissioner Heather Moeller excused. Commissioner Terrell Moore.
Yes.
Vice Chair Judy Bory.
Yes.
Commissioner D.L. Kine.
Yes.
Commissioner Luciano Buzin is absent. Chairman Wayne Standage.
Yes.
Thank you. The approval is
okay.
unanimous.
I know where. Okay. We now move to item number 5, information and reports. Do the commission, any commission members have something they have attended and would like to share? Yes, Judy.
Yes, I would like to bring your attention to the flyer I put on your underneath your materials. It's the Shop Local, and it's from May 1st until October 31st, and you can get your card at the Chamber of Commerce and for $2. And there are, gosh, I think about 20 to 30 local businesses that are giving out either 10%, 20%, 15%, 20% discounts. So, take a look at the list. I did not bring one in, but at the chamber you can pick up a list of all the local businesses participating. So it's a great way to support our local businesses this summer.
Okay. Thank you, Judy. Anybody else have anything they want to bring up?
I learned that I am not an artist at painting a rock. But it is a very fun activity to do that's more passive in the summertime. So shout out to Jamie for this. And just don't look at I hope that's not recorded of how terrible it looks.
If you did your rock, you need to put it out by your name.
I'm going to put mine on the
Put it up
empty
there
side.
so we can all check you over there.
Good 3D.
Oh, there's 3 of them that went.
Yeah.
Hey, mine's up there too.
We are going to have a picture of that.
Okay. Do you have anything?
Well, I went to the dog park opening, of course. Most everybody here went to that. Had a good time there. Well, I talked to one of the rangers later, and he said that things are going pretty well. It seems to be self-policing a lot, which is always a wonderful thing whenever you have to have something like that. And that's pretty much been it. Oh, Friday night at the square, so to speak, where the food trucks are, we've been going to that kind of regularly. I wish more people would. I think it would help get better selection, but it's kind of neat as a way to try to get the community together in one place. They keep struggling with it because it's hard to get a crowd there. But it's worth checking out sometime.
Okay. All right. Okay. We'll move now to staff report. Liz, this section, I'll just hand it all over to you because you got Larry and Kelly besides yourself, okay?
Perfect. Yes, I only have a few things on the first two items, just so we can dedicate more of our time to Kelly's book that he'll be sharing. Just kidding. To our important guests. But as far as in park, so again, just a little quick recap on Dog Park. Since the grand opening, we have had a tremendous, I think I shared this at the last meeting, we did a nice little update. But we're having great turnout out there. One of the confusing things, people are a little bit confused about our maintenance timeframe, just because they're not sure. And while the signage is right out front, sometimes people just miss it or they're not really looking for it. So Jamie and the marketing team have started planning on doing, every Sunday they're doing a post to remind people that, hey, here's the hours next week. We are also working on some additional A-frame signage that will kind of rotate right out into the front, so that way some of the messages that we're struggling the most with, again, it's super minor, but you know, some people aren't picking up after their dogs. Some people are forgetting and bringing in food. The license issue, I think, has been, knock on wood, going great. Animal control, as I shared last meeting, is thrilled with the amount of licenses that people are getting their dogs licensed in the community, and that's really positive and for many, many reasons. But there are some reminders that we want to give to folks, and we think that maybe a rotating sign that's a little closer to the entrance might help. A new poop bag station is going in on the far end of the big dog park area. That's definitely been a need.
The far north end?
Uh-huh. Yes, north, yep. And then we'll talk more about donor opportunities as one of our agenda items you asked for, but I just wanted to share with you. The other part is the grass. I think we shared that's going to be a struggle.
Yeah.
And primarily because we had some issues early on with our irrigation controller, that then when you try to repair that at the same time that grass is trying to transition to summer grass, there's just a lot of issues. So again, remember that it's in that 90-day maintenance period where the contractor and the subcontractor are responsible for it. Our guys, other than to help them fix it, have not been involved, which is frustrating to them because they, you know, would definitely have had I think a better day-to-day handle on it. However, it is under warranty. I think those are the things we want to just assure everybody that our contractor is really dedicated to making sure that we're happy with that in the end. But there's a lot of repair work going on with just the turf and the irrigation system and things like that. So that's been kind of our biggest challenge. And it is a little bit unusual. We didn't have quite that, and it's not really related to the dogs. It was really more related to the irrigation controller and some of those things. So we're working on that. The other items that I had listed for facilities, Larry's going to share a little bit about the multi-gen center, but you're all aware of the HVAC. That was one of our big ticket items this year that we were able to spend some ARPA money in order to fund a couple $100,000, is that in the right ballpark? Couple $100,000 of our two huge 40-ton unit, am I saying that? Now they're 27 and a half. They were bigger, but they redesigned. That's all going on right now. Because of those ongoing supply chain issues, a lot of projects that we have in the city, while we might have started them back, last July, they're still, you know, we're trying to get those in there, and the contractors are doing their best to kind of work with Larry and get all that done. But it's moving along. We have air. We had very limited amount of, we didn't have a lot of really hot downtime while they were doing some of that, which is nice. We weren't sure. But that's going to be a huge improvement for the summer. We've had ongoing, and Frank, I think you've noticed, I think we've had people even come. Some folks have brought up about cooling and heat. This is going to help a whole lot with that. So that's the HVAC. And then the last park project that I wanted to mention was that we are working with our equestrian group on the large animal shelter, the large animal I just lost my whole train of thought. We're going to call it Large Animal Shelter at the rodeo ground. So last summer, we were an emergency evacuation site in the event it was needed. So we put together a lot of things last minute. Mayor Wilson and our equestrian community have been very instrumental in, taking what we got ready last summer and really improving on it. We are using a lot of, Larry's also our closed pod manager for the city, because the Multi-Gen Center is a closed pod. It's also been an open pod, but utilizing his model that he's utilized for some of those for the rodeo ground. So just want you to be aware that between now and the next time we meet, if there are local fires or fires in the other areas and animals, large animals have to be evacuated, we are one of those locations that it could be happening. And so just want you to be aware of that if you hear of anything. We have no new update on rodeo grounds purchase, except for that it's in the budget, and that it's moving along. The NORA, I think, is getting the notice of realty action is getting posted. It's all been approved. So again, it's moving along as fast as anything can move with Bureau Land. So that's my report on parks as of right now. Do you have any questions on that portion?
No.
And then I'm going to move on to recreation. So first off, those who did their rocks, thank you. Jamie will be so proud of you. We really only have, so because Larry's going to cover a little bit from aquatics as well as the Multi-Gen Center. So those are some of our big things that are happening this summer. But I do want to just share quickly 4th of July. I know I shared a quick email with you guys that we had good news and that we got a good amount of stock in. So we are going to have a great fireworks show. We're excited. It might be a little bit shorter than the past years. It usually is around 30 minutes. It could be around 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes, depending on how it works, but it will still be a fabulous show. As we shared at the last meeting, the viewing location is changing. So we won't be on the football field. We'll be moving south to those ball fields, but plenty of grass. We were just out there last week, and AJUSD has been watering their practice field and keeping it really nice and mowed so that their summer grass came in, which is going to make it a really great place for the community to be able to sit out there. There's plenty of room. We've been working closely with PD and the fire department and the school district to keep all those plans. So it's on 4th of July. If you are on Facebook, I would definitely encourage you to join the event so that you get the updates and you'll see some of the messages that we're giving out to the public. There is going to be a little bit of difference in parking and some of those things, and just where would be the easiest places to park to be able to be there. And so just keep an eye out for that. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me or Jamie. I'm not going to be assigning you any recreation homework today, so that's my gift to you, is that while I'm not as entertaining as Jamie, you guys can skip homework for this month. And then that wraps up my programs report. Do you have any questions?
School's out for summer, we don't have homework.
That's right, exactly.
Now, one question.
Okay.
For the month of July, we will not be meeting, I take.
You know what, we have it on the agenda, and we can talk about it when we get to the meeting.
I'm sorry.
That's okay,
I was
but
just
be thinking
thinking
about that,
before.
because we do want to make sure we have a quorum for the meetings going forward, and we'll definitely chat about that.
Okay.
Okay, but I know we always think of it because of 4th of July, so it gets
Yes.
tricky. All right. So now I'm really happy to have two of these guys joining us. They've been with us for quite some time. One of the things that I put in your packet up there is our contact list. And so as you guys had requested, we're going to be bringing back 1 or 2 people each month and getting them reintroduced to everybody. Some of them you guys have met. Some of you haven't met them yet. Some of you have done events with some of our folks that'll be on. But really, this little list kind of shows you who are some of the supervisors of all of our main areas that we have under our responsibility, as well as 2 highlighted public numbers that you should feel free that if somebody is asking you of a concern or they see something at a park, that we want to say, well, there's lots of signage, here's the number to call. Here's what we want you to do. Somebody wants to know about doing an event or reserving a facility, that's the bottom highlighted area. Here's the number that somebody's going to be able to help them with immediately, so that way There's no doubt what they need to do. So at this time, I would like to first turn it over to Larry Binion. Larry, he's going to share a little bit about himself, and in true recreation fashion, he did bring you gifts, so I'm very excited about that. Larry helped us. That's right. Larry helped us to open, so he was hired prior to the Multi-Gen Center finishing construction and being open. So he's been with the MGC since the very beginning, and we're super, super proud to have him part of our team. And I will move to your presentation.
You like Larry.
How loud is this thing? How loud do I have to talk? Is it on screen? Green? Green means good? All right, so Larry Binion, that's my name. Liz got that right. And yes, I have been with Parks and Rec since the build phase of the MGC, so that's over 17 years ago. So yes, that facility is 17 years old. It's sometimes hard to believe. And my role initially was not the facilities manager. I was promoted once Liz got promoted, Jamie got promoted, and the dominoes fell, and they gave me the keys to the facility. But as you see on the slide, it's not just a recreation facility manager, it's facilities manager. I also have oversight in our aquatic facility. In your bags, we've got a lot of flyers, a lot of information, upcoming programs, the pool brochure. And while yes, I have a pretty big hand in the operations of the aquatic center, I don't want to steal Jill's thunder. She is the aquatic coordinator. She oversees the staff and the programming. I'm going to let her surprise you with the cool stuff we have going on. And that way it's going to be new to you. So I'm going to focus mostly on the multi-generational center as far as my area of responsibility. We, pre-COVID, were seeing over 100,000 visits per year. And so that is anything from the group fitness classes we have, the climbing wall, the kids club, fitness area. We've got the game room. We have reservations, our senior programming. Even though the senior programming is kept separately as far as numbers, but that's what also happens in that facility. And so my responsibility in all of that is to ensure that every one of those 100,000 plus people has a unique and memorable experience in that facility. It can be a challenge, but that's kind of how I train a staff. I kind of look at it as a Ritz-Carlton mindset of each person is unique. And that's how we keep people coming back. That's how we maintain that small community feel when we have 100,000 people coming in the facility. So I take great pride in that. My staff takes great pride in that. Making sure the environment there is friendly, the atmosphere is fun and engaging. We do our best to remember people's names and then interact in a first person versus, hey, welcome to the facility. It's Wayne, glad to see you coming back. How you doing? And that really resonates with people. And I think we noticed that in a couple instances over the past decade or so when LA Fitness came in. Initially, they took a chunk of our membership, but they came back because they realized that the atmosphere was better suited to them versus LA Fitness. And then when the other facility came into town, same thing happened with them. They came in super cheap, but they didn't provide the service. They didn't provide the amenities. They didn't provide the atmosphere that really, really brought people back. And so all of the programs, all the activities, all the things that we oversee, that is our pride. That is where we really have stuck our flag in the ground. But more so than that, again, service over and above the rest, that's a Jeff Bell staple that won't go away. We won't let it go away because that's our mantra. That's why we do what we do, is to be better than everybody else. Not only the community members that we're responsible for, their experience. I take it personally that our staff members have a memorable and enjoyable work experience. Most of them are AJ kids or have grown into adults. They've been a part of this community, so they are a little bit more invested in making sure everything is the way it should be. So I impress upon them that I want their experience to be memorable as well. Most of them are going to get a degree or go on and get, they call it their big boy job or their big girl jobs, these rec leaders that are working part-time. But it's important to me that they have that unique experience and they gain something versus just coming in, punching the clock, going home, collecting their paycheck. It's a family over there. Our whole department actually is a family. We had one kid, I'm going to tell a quick story, and then I'm going to let Kelly tell his life story. We had a young kid who was a lifeguard last summer. He came over to work the Multi-Generational Center in the off-season. Rough home life, so to speak. Finances were tight. So he had worked for us, decided to go work for Wendy's because Wendy's paid more. They had promised him a certain number of hours a week. He's a high school kid, so he didn't have a lot of free time, so he needed to maximize his earning potential. He came back to me, so he left in January, came back in March and said, "Can I have my job back?" And I said, well, what happened? And he said, "You know what, you were right. The atmosphere, the camaraderie, the fellowship, the family here is worth so much more than what they were paying at Wendy's." He's like, "I learned that it's not always about the bottom line, about the paycheck." It made me so happy. I'm like, it works. This is what we're trying to do. And it was great to hear. And it was more fuel for that fire, that motivation to keep doing what we're doing for the community members, for our the guests in our facility, and for our staff. So that's kind of my MO on how I like to run things. And thankfully, I don't get told to do it other ways because that's what our department's about. Any questions on, I'll answer aquatics if you want, multi-generational stuff, anything from you guys?
Well, I've been going to that gym for about 10 years on and off, and I've always been impressed with it. The
We
building,
try.
the staff.
Cleanliness is something that we impressed on from day one, and we still do get a lot of compliments on the cleanliness. That stemmed from other facilities I had worked at that were absolute trash. And so it was frustrating me to see that. But then also there was other MRSA and diseases and all types of things that if things aren't clean, that could be transferred from person to person. Pre-COVID, we were already the cleanest facility in town, and we just ramped it up to another degree and kept it. And so, you know, it's a 17-year-old facility, but it's our goal to make sure it never looks its age. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it's nice. I like it.
For post-COVID.
Post-COVID.
I know we're not really in post-COVID, but we're working towards that. Has numbers been as high as pre-COVID?
No. So thank you for asking that. The industry standard currently in a, we'll just call it a fitness industry, running about 70 to 75%. The last 2 months of comparing pre-COVID months to now, we're running about 80 to 85%. So I think we're a little bit ahead of the pace, but I'm a numbers guy. That's our high mark is my goal to beat every year. And Jamie has the high mark, but she never had LA Fitness or Planet Fitness to compete with. So my best year is just a little bit below her best year, but I got an asterisk on mine, but I still got to beat it. So we're at about 80, 85% of what we were pre-COVID.
Good.
And still gaining traction, so.
Good.
Competition's good.
That's what we're about. We're not competitive at all, right, Liz?
No.
Yeah.
Larry, on the swimming
Yeah.
center, how's that all been going for you since it started?
So we just opened this weekend, had a great opening weekend. Our numbers looked really good. Being a numbers guy, I'm never going to say they're good enough. There's always room for improvement. Staff-wise, we're in a better place than we were last year, but again, we could use more. We are still limited in the number of days that we're open. Similar to last year, we're not 7 days a week like we would like to be, like we used to be pre-COVID. Again, that's our goal, is to continue to build. Swim lesson instructors, we switched over from Red Cross to Starfish. So that's a bit of a change, but we're building our instructor base again, not where we need to be. And that's always a challenge because for us, swim lessons is our priority. Water safety is paramount, especially in Arizona. We've got lakes just down the road up here. Everybody's grandma has a pool in their backyard. So that's our priority, is to try and ensure that we get as many swim lessons to as many kids as possible. So that's any lifeguard we get on staff, we're like, all right, it's time to get you certified to be an instructor now. Let's get to that next level because we're trying to get as many lessons as we can. And so that's, we're not there yet. We're getting better as far as staff-wise.
Well, I didn't know where it might stand because of the loss of probably a year or so.
And that was a challenge.
Thanks.
Given that people came, we hired them on, and then we had nothing for them. So they ended up having to find another place to go. So we had to recruit them back from whatever previous job they went to that summer, and we got a bunch of them back, and we're trying to add more. You know, it's just never enough.
Okay.
So, but we're working.
And could I add, so last month, Jamie did share with everybody a little heads up that our hours were going to be a little different. So I think the aquatic staff did an amazing job of recruiting and getting the amount of numbers of people. So like, we're getting pretty close to that. But they're all, like Larry's saying, so it's all brand new guards. So we don't have a lot of our experienced team yet, and so they're not ready to be thrown out there on their own. And that's why a lot of our hours are still reduced. So our hope is that, you know, maybe mid-June, end of June, we'll be able to add more hours as we go and as we get comfortable. But they've done a fantastic job on getting there. I really feel like next year, this will be a great place for us to build back for next year.
Yeah, really excited about the young staff we have. We think getting them back and then adding another incoming class, we should be pretty close to full staffed. So we just got to take care of them this year and make them feel like their family and want to come back. So that's on us. That's our responsibility.
And then you will have Jill back probably at the end of summer so that she can do kind of a wrap-up and tell us all the great stuff that's happened, and also so that she gets a little break because she's going hours and hours a week. Any other questions for Larry before he... It's okay, it just went to sleep.
The screen went off.
Yeah, it's-
Oh, you got it?
yep.
No, it was the last slide.
While Larry's sitting down, I just wanted to mention
Larry.
that
Thank you.
some of the things that Larry didn't share are that his role with the facilities is really kind of that person that is the go-between between programs, facility rentals at both of these facilities, and maintenance. And so he coordinates all of that, and then his real focus is on the membership. So, you know, there's coordinators that are doing programs out of there. Jill is our aquatics and fitness coordinator under Larry. And so they obviously work super closely together, but that, we really feel that was an important role. When Jamie moved up, we kind of put both, Larry had been the aquatics coordinator and the fitness coordinator, so having that person that was still the person that's gonna worry about operations, that's probably the wrong thing. All that logistical stuff, so that way our coordinator for programming can just focus on programming and wasn't worrying about all that. So, great job, Larry, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Kelly Martin. You guys have heard from him a time or two and definitely seen him out and around. He is going to share with you all a little bit our park ranger program, and like Larry, he's been with us for quite some time, and I'm going to let him introduce himself. Mean, yeah, that's a short joke. I'm going to get to his presentation real quick. But again, just another, you know, we're so blessed to have staff that have been with us for a really long time, and I wish I could take credit for it, but we had an amazing director that made it a great place to want to work and stay, and we've all just been able to kind of carry that forward. So let me,
Thanks for
from
adding the slide.
beginning, there you go.
Frank, you fall asleep. I'm throwing something at you.
One of these rocks.
Can you read the guy's name there?
That's right. I am Kelly Martin. I'm the park ranger supervisor. I have been a park ranger for over 22 years, 17 of that here in Apache Junction, and 16 of that I've been park ranger supervisor. I oversee the park ranger program. I'm also the department's safety officer, as well as I oversee some special projects that Liz threw on top of me, but they were welcome.
Other duties as assigned.
That's right. Going back a little ways, hopefully I give you some information that you don't know. That's why mine's longer, because I want to explain, because anytime I get the chance to talk about the park ranger program and what we do, I'm happy to, because not a lot of people know everything that we do. They know sometimes some of the things we do, but The park ranger actually started late 2002 with 2 park rangers and 1 park attendant. City staff and council decided that maybe it'd be a good idea to have more visibility of park staff or staff in the parks on nights, weekends, holidays, you know, when the parks are being used. That turned into, well, more calls for service for PD, more calls for service for other things. So we took on an additional role, and city council agreed and says, hey, let's give you some enforcement powers. So they changed the chapter 15 to allow us to enforce the ordinances for park rules. Since that time, you know, with the population increase, where our job responsibility increased, our facility increased, our program has grown to where we have a park ranger supervisor, 7 park rangers, and 1 park attendant. Over the next few years, we're hoping to grow a little bit more with the addition of our newly opened Dutchman Dog Park, and with the growth of the city down south, we hope to be an integral part in patrolling that park when it is built. Park rangers patrol all city parks, recreation facilities, city properties, including City Hall. We do it for safety, we do it for security, we do it for violations. That's not all we do. Yes, we are empowered to issue verbal warnings, written warnings, stuff like that, but we're also public relations. Sometimes we're the only people that people talk to when they go to our facilities, especially the parks. You know, we get to answer questions. We get to, you know, give information about the city in general, because we get lots of questions, you know, pertaining to anything from here to Superstition Mountains to the lakes and whatever. We get all of that as well. So we do patrol the facilities. We also patrol, it's about right now, because we haven't adjusted to go down south, thanks to Liz. Thank goodness for that. Right now, it's about 1,700 acres of BLM state trust land, or Bureau of Land Management and state trust lands. Not only do we patrol those areas, but we are also responsible for fence repair, installing fence, picking up trash when it's small enough where my rangers can get it into bags and load it up, you know, dump sites, illegal dumping. We investigate illegal dumping. If we can find any type of identifiers that we can go after somebody for illegal dumpings, whether it be in the desert area, whether it be at our Lost Dutchman closure, you know, stuff like that. In our parks, we've had it in our parks. So we're not just in our parks, or not just there for violators. We're there for safety. We're there to make sure everybody's having a good time. We're there to be a liaison between the city and our patrons, our community. Not yet. Oh, yes. Sorry, that was mean. You added one. Anyway, park rangers are first responders, and we respond to calls throughout the city. Park rangers not only alleviate the need for police officers to respond to calls to parks for minor violations or injuries, we also called to serve in public safety areas. We get called to traffic accidents to do traffic control. We do traffic control for parades, weather events, all of that. We assist PD in that way because, one, if we're there, they can do the higher priority stuff. So we help them out with those areas. We also help in assisting and locating missing or injured people, runaway juveniles, stuff like that. They'll call us in because most of the time we have dealt with those juveniles at the skate park or at the pool or at one of our facilities. We also are called to assist animal control with dogs at large, animals at large. I mean, there's wild animals that we get called to as well. Not a whole lot anymore, but we still do get that. We take care of snakes throughout the city, people's residences, not only city buildings, not only parks, but we go to residences just because the animal control is short-staffed and we're able to assist in that area. We don't. When we do catch snakes, just to let you know, because I get asked this question all the time, what do you do with the snakes? Do you kill them? No, we don't. We relocate them to undeveloped desert areas so they can go about their lives. We also get called to stranded motorists, people who lock their keys in their vehicles throughout the city. We go open them for them. All of the rangers are trained in several lockout tools, and we're able to assist them. That's a service that we provide. The Park Ranger program helps out at events. We help out with setup, takedown. We also do security, safety, traffic control at all of our events. Our Park Ranger program, this you probably heard about from Liz. We have some notoriety throughout the valley. Phoenix early on came out. They brought rangers out to see how we operate, our program operate. That was when I first came out. They came out and saw how we did things. As Park Ranger supervisor, I was invited to speak to Gilbert Town Council at the retreat and also their Parks Commission. I was assisting them in updating their program to where it brings it up to a level of a true Park Ranger program. I was proud of that. Also, I was able to assist a new program, Town of Queen Creek, to get them up and running. I was able to go out there and assist them. It was great. Both of these larger towns are now using our model in their program today. Another important part of our Park Ranger program is our park attendant. Our park attendant's duties are ever-changing, but mostly responsible for cleanliness and upkeep of the parks during nights, weekends, and holidays, holiday hours. He's also a great liaison for our patrons of our parks because he can answer questions. He can take care of problems. He promotes the city in a positive light to our patrons in the parks. Park attendant program the park attendants have fluctuated in numbers. I mean, we had anywhere from 5, 1 full-time or 2 full-time and 3 part-time to, now we have 1 with the addition of our janitorial contract, which I oversee as well. Janitorial contract, basically during the day, once a day they clean out the restrooms or do restroom cleaning, and they also empty the trash cans in most of our parks. Not all of them, but most of them. The Park Ranger program is so intertwined with the city's functions as a whole that they become a vital department to public safety and public service of our citizens. As Park Ranger supervisor, I'm also the safety officer for the Parks and Rec Department. In that role, I get to meet with each new staff member. It's a privilege because, one, they get to know me, I get to know them. I get to go over our department safety checklist, which is sometimes pretty intensive, a lot of information for them, but we want to make sure that all of our staff members are safe, being safe on the job, and they feel safe doing their job. I also get an opportunity, which was last weekend, I get to speak to a large number of our seasonal staff while they do their all-day trainings. I get to be there for maybe 10 minutes, but I get to meet all of them. I get to talk with them as well. I'm also the vice chair, currently the vice chair with the City Safety Committee, which we give input to the Safety Steering Committee for the city. We're able to give input so that some of those things can be adopted. Let's see, I've also been certified as a playground safety inspector. For the longest time, we didn't do anything with that, but with Liz, it was great. She got us going, got us doing what we were supposed to be doing, which is checking our playgrounds, making sure that they're safe for our kids, make sure they're safe for our patrons.
We do check our other guys do, but our certified safe, they have some different knowledge. And so having that big audit, every so often has been a big help. And it's great having Kelly because he's just a different set of eyes that's not seeing it every day from a maintenance perspective. So he's done awesome in that regard.
With that, I also manage our alarm systems at our facilities and also our camera systems at our facilities. The good thing is I have Larry. He is great about if anything happens at the MGC, he's able to review the camera footage as well. It's not just on me, so he's able to help me with that. Few special projects.
Hey, Kelly, excuse me? With the cameras, are we considering a camera at the splash pad at all? With,
We have a pilot program right now. Those cameras aren't working as well, so we really don't have, I can't say that we have a workable camera system there
but it's in
right now.
We are considering.
We are considering that. We are considering tapping into something else to make those cameras work better for us.
Yeah, and they were part of a pilot, like a free program we got with our lighting. It was a whole system. It doesn't move though, and it doesn't do the things that we can do with our other camera systems.
Correct.
So,
Some of the special projects that I oversee as well. I am the Eagle Scout project coordinator and assist prospective Eagle Scouts with coming up with service projects. We develop ideas, they pick one. It is their responsibility from then on to plan, get the resources to complete their respective projects. As you see, a few of them, if you've been up on Silly Mountain, a few of them have elected to do our rock benches, our natural rock benches up there. Obviously, they have to have a little bit of structure behind them, but they're used with the rocks, mainly used from the rocks that are there. They don't bring in any rocks.
I thought they were all rock when I see them, so this is like a huge,
Yeah, most
like,
of
what?
and most
But they're
of the time-
beautiful.
and
They
that
do a
was
nice
actually
job.
The design came from Nick Blake. He's the one that designed those, and he figured we have to have some structure behind them, and so they came up with that. So each one that you see out there, you're looking at them and you think they're all rock, but they do have a base behind them. I also help in coordinating desert cleanups. As you can see on your screen, some of them are very hefty. That was a recent one that we did, I want to say March. And we had a 40-yard dumpster out there. It filled that up and plus had to take 4 or 5 truckloads to the dump as well. So that was a major one. And granted, it wasn't in one spot. That was an area that was east of 88, north of Superstition Boulevard. It was that whole area in there. That whole area was cleaned at that time. So groups will come to us and they'll pick an area that they want to clean. What I do is I get with state trust land, because if it's on state trust land or close to state trust land, they'll work with me in getting a dumpster out there, free of charge to the city. That helps us out, and we can get as much in there as we can. So it helps in getting the equipment they need to do that project. I also assist the police department with homeless outreach program as well. We assist providing resources to the homeless, as well as assisting in cleanup of abandoned campsites. Because once they leave, they usually leave their stuff behind, and we go out there, sometimes with groups that want to clean them up, clean up the areas. Sometimes my rangers, if it's small enough, they'll pick it up themselves. They'll bag it up and pick it up themselves. I'm also a liaison for State Trust Land, Natural Resource and Trespass Division, as well as BLM Rangers and Special Agents, State Park Rangers, CAP Canal Enforcement Officers, Maricopa County Flood Control District, National Forest Rangers, on the various issues they have in their areas, and they coordinate with me so if we can give them any help that we can. I'm finally closing, Larry. As you can see, I am very, very proud of our park ranger program and what it has become. I love my job, thankful to work in a community and for a city that holds the park rangers and Parks and Recreation as a whole in high regard. If you have any questions, I will answer them.
Kelly, do you have a junior ranger program, or have you?
I have an outline for a junior ranger program that went kind of on the back burner just because of staffing and what we are able to do. It's still there, but we have not done anything with it.
Yeah, I just didn't know if you did educational things with the school district.
We do. As you know, we came out to the Boys and Girls Club and did a presentation there. We haven't been asked in a while just because, you know, when economy went south and everything went south back in 2008, 2007, 2008, we got, you know, we were low on staff. We were worried about different things. We were concentrating on things, and the schools were too. We weren't asked to go to do any programs. Mainly the programs that we did were at elementary schools, which you know, I wish I would have put some of those pictures up. We did go out to those elementary schools and do programs. They got to see our trucks and see what it is. We took them outside, showed them those things. So we are available to do those programs. We just haven't done them lately.
And I'd like to add, I think Kelly alluded to it, so we did get, in the tentative council budget adoption, a lead park ranger, which is a full extra body than even what we have. So out of the 7, 3 or 4 are full-time and 3 are part-time right now?
Well, including myself, 5 are full-time.
5 full-time and 3 part-time, but we are getting another lead. So Kelly puts in about 60 hours a week. He works most all weekends to cover calls from the Rangers. He works pretty much every holiday. So we're really trying hard to have another lead that can share the workload during the week, and especially on those weekends and things like that. So those are all great things, though. A junior park ranger program, you know, we have a lot of, I shouldn't say we, Kelly has a lot of plans for, you know, that person's going to help with the whole training program. But it will just give us an opportunity to be able to get back and do some of the things that I think a lot of them really do enjoy doing, in addition to their regular job.
Correct.
When I took that ride with you a decade ago,
Yes, it has been a while.
there was a problem with people cutting the wires to the open space.
Correct.
Is that still going on?
It still
or
happens.
has it dropped?
In fact, my day rangers are the ones who,
Oh,
they go out regularly and check all fence lines. We get I've got people in different areas of the multi-use areas that will call me when a fence goes down.
Right.
Call me when a fence gets cut. That way I can get a ranger out there and fix it.
But we haven't caught anybody yet.
Oh, we have.
We did?
Oh, yeah,
Good.
we have. And I can say that we don't like citations, you know, but that's one of the ones that we will when we do catch them, just because the damage that they do and the manpower and resources it takes to fix those. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Okay, that completes the staff report. Next item is old business, which, again, I'll turn over to you, Liz.
Okay, it looks like the first item, Dutchman Dog Park, our donor opportunities. I think that was asked at the last meeting to bring that back. And so I gave you just a little, do not think this is a handout that we'll be giving to the public. This is for your knowledge.
Right.
Riley and Jamie and other more creative people than me will create our actual donor, oops, I'm on the wrong thing. We'll create our actual donor once we are complete for the public. But we just wanted to share with you a little bit about what we have planned. Let's see if I can open this a little bit better. So we have several different opportunities right now where people can donate, and we do have some active donors right now. Our dog bone benches, we probably have room for about 3, maybe 4. They're very heavy and they're hard to get in. So we will kind of collect what we're going to get and then do a bunch at one time. But those are in about the $1,500 ballpark. So they cost about $1,000. The real cost is in the shipping because they're so heavy. So that's one opportunity. We sold the first 3 of these benches were already donated by others, and now their plaques are out there too. So that's an opportunity if people are interested. We talked last time about the tree program. So we definitely have opportunities where if people want to sponsor a tree, I know that sounds a little hefty, but so that tree right there, depending on the type of tree, it can be anywhere from $175 to $225 for the size that we're going to put in. And in addition, wherever we're putting them, we're going to have to adjust a little bit of irrigation, and then it also pays for the plaque. So the person is going to get all of those things, and then that's the life of the tree. If it ever were to go away, then we'd be replanting it. So if somebody wants to donate, that's what that costs. But I know, there's a lot of people that just want to have a little to donate, and we wanted to have an opportunity. We talked long ago about, I think there were questions about, would we have bricks, or, what are some ways that other people could be a part of the dog park? And so we wanted to do something a little bit different, and I'll skip to that page. This is not an accurate art rendering right now. This is just sort of some of the conceptual stuff that we gave to one of the companies that's helping us to design it. We talked long ago about kind of a wind chime structure where people would buy the dog, like a large dog tag, anywhere from 3 inches to 5-inch dog tag that would hang on there, and they would be able to engrave it with whatever they want their message to be. Those could be anywhere from $25 to $75, depending on the level that they chose, how big it is, all that kind of stuff. But the concept is very similar to this, that it is a structure that we'd put in place, make sure that it matches with the overall look of the dog park. But this is like a very heavy-duty cable, and then instead of this concept, there would be hooks on this that the dog tags themselves would hang on, and it would be a little bit more of a wind chime kind of reflective type of artwork that's going to be there towards the entrance of the park. So that's kind of what our one of the companies that we're working with right now is working on, getting all that ready to go. And then once we have that, we will be putting together a nice brochure, so that way people who want to donate, it'll just kind of be an ongoing thing that we'll be offering. So any questions or other thoughts that you might have on opportunities? Again, please don't share, did I even spell opportunities right? I did, okay. It didn't look right at first. So again, this really is just more for your knowledge. We'll put together something once we've finalized, and once we have the actual image of our, the donor wind chime art, then that'll be there so that way people will know what to expect. The price range, it really just depends on how much those are gonna cost us. So we'll want to be able to, and then our plan will be that it's replaced for life. So if something happened to it or it got vandalized, then we'd be replacing their dog tag at any point in time. So those are kind of the things that we've been keeping in mind.
Excuse me, Liz?
Yeah.
Any thought of asking for somebody to donate a gazebo?
Well, we don't really have any more. So that gazebo that we did was in the $25,000 range. So that was part of our corporate partnership program. We just didn't get very many takers on any of that. It'd be tough putting another gazebo out there unless it's in the grass. So I'm not saying it's out of the question, but there's just not a lot of room out there. So we're really going to probably focus a little bit more on trees and that type of thing. I'm glad you asked though, because I did want to mention our corporate partnership program is still active, even though the dog park has been built. And I believe I opened. So if you go to our /dog park page that has all of our frequently asked questions and images and information about the dog park, we do at the bottom talk about who our partners and our sponsors were. And then there is a actual flyer program that Fox Young with our Revenue Development Department manages. And we do still have people contacting us right now, really for smaller types of donations. So State Farm is doing more of our dog poop bag stations, and we're adding in more other kinds of garbage cans. So there are some smaller $1,500 to $5,000 sponsors that are really still coming out of the woodwork. Nice. That might be another way that we fund one of the benches if we don't get other people who just want to donate it. And that's all I have on that, unless you have other questions.
To make a donation, they would need to go through the website?
So if they are, so on that dog park page, and then all of the brochures that are out at the park or that we handed out, they let people know that they can just contact us at ajpr@apachejunction.az.gov, our main Parks and Rec email, and let us know they want to do something. And then Jamie Sullivan will coordinate with them what their interest is, figure out, what they're really interested in. And all of that will be part of this brochure. So then we'll probably have, for the wind chime art, it will be something online that people can just go in and automatically pay with their credit card, that kind of thing. Okay. And so, yeah, if you know of somebody, though, that is interested, before this gets really rolled out, send them our way. We're happy to start working with them now.
It's a nice job.
Thank you.
Really nice.
As usual.
Oh, I'm supposed to just keep going.
Yeah.
Forgot.
You got the next item.
So the other item that we wanted to bring to today's meeting, I am not going to go over all of these. You're welcome, everybody. But as we've talked through this whole year, the last 6 months, we've been talking about our Parks and Rec strategic plan. We've gone through all the steps of that, and now we are at the point of rolling out to the public some of the important questions that we want to get answered from them. This is just one piece of community feedback, so there will also be small focus groups with some different groups that might have different types of interests. So our equestrian groups, we have plans to work with them on what are some of their thoughts on our trails and other amenities. There might be other types of target groups that will be asking questions on the MGC and some of those the membership, and they will have some specific things. But what we had shared with you last time is that we wanted to bring to you guys our general survey questions that we're going to start rolling out to everybody. These are going to get rolled out at all of our events, at all of our major events. It'll go out through Facebook, social media, and then be shared in multiple ways. So right now we're just at the step of Riley King has gone through a lot of other cities, master plans or strategic plans, look to see what kinds of survey questions they asked. And then we put together some of the things based on the feedback we got from you on some of the things that we want to be looking at, as well as what are just some of the information that we're going to want to know to help guide us with some of the decisions you guys are all going to be making as we finalize our strategic plan. As we talked about, the idea is that we would start this summer while we have a real captive audience at our pools, in our summer programs, and then 4th of July is one of our biggest events. While we do have a lot of non-residents, there will be a question on there so that we can gauge what residents want versus what non-residents want. We wanted to get the word out now before our winter resident population comes back. They're super important to us too, but they might have different thoughts, and we definitely want to make sure that we're meeting the needs of our year-round residents as well as our winter residents. So, like I said, I just want to talk to you quickly about some of the categories that we're covering. You're welcome to look at this. You are welcome to shoot me some questions. This is not an action item that you guys have to approve. It's more of, we just want you to be aware of what the questions are, and if there are things you think we're missing, we have the month of June to fix that and then have it ready for our 4th of July event. So demographics, if there's other demographics that you think are really important, certainly let us know, and there's time at the end of this that you guys can also ask questions if they come up while you're looking at this. Recreation programs, so these are not, so just so you know, this is not worded or in the format of the survey. Those will be in our, so we have the higher subscription to SurveyMonkey. That is what we will use for this, that can kind of help us to compile all of our data. But we have kind of listed what we're going to be using as our criteria for each of these, just so you'd get an idea. So we really kind of just tried to pick what are some of our major recreation activities and how often people use them. Larry, Jamie did have in here MGC programs, but I've moved that to facilities. So just so you know, don't feel like it's left out. Those they do definitely have events and things like that, but we're going to consider that as events. All the programs that are happening at the MGC fall into one of these types of areas. We're trying hard not to make this be this huge, long survey, and so we really just want some general ideas from folks. So for those same areas that people participate in, we also want to know how important they think those are to the community, and just to help us to know how much more of that we need to have. And then there's going to be a bunch of open-ended questions. We want to know, most of these, we want to know for them and their family. We don't want to know what they think people want. We don't want to hear what their guess is that other people, we want to know what the person filling out the survey wants. So I might think that laughter yoga is really great and people should take that, but I should not put it down if I'm not willing to go to it, and I'm not. So we get a lot of feedback of why don't we have these things? Our community needs more teen programs, or they need more of this. Well, the teens actually don't say that same thing. They don't want structured programs. They want a place to hang out. They want a place to get food and hang out with their friends. So we really want to know what people specifically want for themselves and their family, and not to guess what other people want. And then we will compile that data. So they'll have a chance here to talk about, for some of these, we're leaving them open-ended, and then our staff that are going to be running this will help to compile those into categories. So what would they like to see offered that isn't? What are their barriers to participating? And then in general, we would like to know kind of a rate. Each one of these will have its own little Likert scale here, where, program staff or instructors, are they excellent, good, fair, poor, or unknown kind of thing. So we'll be evaluating on that basis. So that's for the programs. Parks and facilities questions. I hope I wasn't a liar. Okay, good. We kind of want to know, again, some general areas. How often do they visit these general areas? The only times that we're really looking at specific facility names is when it's a special amenity. So we want people to understand, if they don't know where our splash pad is, it's really just the small one at Flatiron Park. There's not some other great splash pad somewhere. We want to know about Silly Mountains trail system versus the Sheep Drive. They're very different. But when it comes to baseball, softball fields, we're not going to list every single park facility right now. We mainly want to know what types of spaces that they use in our community.
Liz?
Yes.
Do you have bike paths on there? Let me see, I was trying to.
We don't operate bike paths, but do I have that? Maybe it's on a different one.
Or the bike trail,
But we can add that. So I think maybe you mean like along roadways and things like that?
Right, well, that, and then don't we have something going around the city, around the border, that's multi-use trail?
Well, so that's what the Sheep Drive Trail, the multi-use, we only have the part that we own right now.
Okay.
I know eventually Active Transportation Plan will have Legends Loop, and then we also have the MAG, that little connector it's basically going to extend Sheep Drive Trail.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really wanting to know, but we can definitely add bike paths. It's not really a Parks and Rec amenity, but it is yeah, I think it's on a different section though. So maybe we'll add something like that.
Because I think a lot of our winter visitors, you have a lot of bikes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you see them out there on their bikes.
So bike paths. And Carol was mentioning on one of our future questions, it is one of the choices, so we'll maybe use some of that same language.
Okay.
That's a great idea. Did you have another question, Wayne?
Not a question, just a comment.
Okay.
When we were working on this before they brought in the ASU group, the city maintenance, the street roads maintenance, were doing the deal of making bike paths wherever they
Oh,
could.
yes. That's part of the active transportation
I
plan.
believe it's in the active management deal now.
Yeah, it is. So when they update a road, then so right now, Lost Dutchman Boulevard, did I just say it right? Yeah. They have, as they've either widened that or made improvements, now there's a bike lane to Tomahawk.
Right.
Next year it'll be Tomahawk to Ironwood, I think. So, yeah.
But also the bicycles, they can go out and use the outer perimeter deal just under the power line.
Yep, so that's, and so again,
Multi-use.
will they know, maybe we need to be adding a map to this survey so that people even know what sheep drive trail, multi-use trail system is versus a bike lane. So that might be a good thing for us to add as a reference to this survey. All right, and so then for those same items, I take it back. For the same I guess it's most of them. We added a couple of other ones, but we would like to know their experience with those amenities. And we did add, so again, while we don't want to know how often they use the park restrooms, so that's not on that question, we do want to know if they think that they are, what kind of condition that they're in and that kind of thing. So we definitely added that as an item. And then again, same as with the programs, listing amenities that they'd like to see. We added in, if they have interactions with park rangers and park maintenance staff, what is that interaction like? Leaving a comment. And then if they want to list any improvements to specific parks or park amenities that they'd like to see have happen, which is a little different than having new facilities. And then we just ask a handful of questions about how they hear about our programs and how we could improve that. Where could they find out that information? So those are kind of the key categories. If you have any questions, any additional questions right now, I'm happy to answer them, and we can add that to this. I have definitely added a map would be good, and then the bike path portion to that one. But if you have anything else, I'm happy to add it.
What about in demographic questions? What about putting maybe single, married?
Jamie had that originally. Somehow I left it off. Single or married was on there. I almost took off male, female. I do know those are demographics that we do want to know what different people are looking for. It gets tricky sometimes. So single, married.
What about widowed, divorced, or?
So tell me this. I would love to hear your thoughts, because I think this is where we kind of got challenged, is I don't want to ask questions that aren't going to give us meaningful information that we're going to be able to take. So maybe tell me how you think that information, if it was correlated to their answers, how that information might tell us something different.
What if,
Get more worded as like a adult household versus like a household with small children.
Okay,
that's a good way.
that's a good thought.
And then single too, I know we do like fit families and those type of things, but what about single activities for the single person?
Yeah, we're going to know like their ages, so if there's different things in that regard.
Sometimes with a sort like this, you get unexpected results
Right,
when you do sort it with a different variable.
okay, great point. What else?
I think it'd be something good. Throw it out there and see what happens.
Yeah. So if you come up with something else, or you see something somewhere else that you think is a great question that maybe we're missing, feel free to email me, and we'll look at working it in. This is, again, this is our main survey that is going to go out to everybody. It'll probably go out through our email blast, through a lot of different things. We'll be working with staff on this one just to kind of fine tune it and make sure we haven't missed anything, because we likely have. As we look through our categories and things like that, we really tried hard to summarize. But then we'll also be doing some other minor focus groups to dig into a little bit more details from this, from different groups. Yes?
As I'm looking at it, you could have a deal of adult household or family household to maybe cover some of that.
And I wonder, like, Census has some good language that we might be able to steal from them of how to make it sound right.
Like, because they're single parents, single
Yeah.
parents
And
raising.
honestly, that is important information. We work with a lot of people that it's a single family or a single parent trying to get their kids, or grandparents with kids. So those are oftentimes very they have a different challenge that they could use more help with and things. So I think those are some great ones. We'll work a little bit more on that demographic so that we can fine tune that. And that's it for that one.
You done there, Liz?
Yes.
Okay, but guess what? You're on the agenda again for
Yes.
new business, kiddo.
Okay. I'm just going to open, I might have already opened this, but, so in your packet is tonight is just a quick, brief, want to get some general feedback and share with you what our policy is when we have major dedications. So again, a donor plaque with a tree, that's all things that we can do operationally with staff. A sponsorship program where there's a plaque at a Ramada or those kinds of things are all part of our sponsorship program. We can do that at our own level. When we get to the level where we are going to dedicate a major amenity, like softball complex or a major Ramada, it's not tied to our corporate partnership program, our Parks and Rec Commission and our former director, Jeff Bell, worked very extensively on developing a policy that we felt like was a good policy, so that way every street didn't have somebody's name, every building didn't have somebody's name that 20 years from now nobody knows what it means. It's challenging because there's a lot of people that contribute in our community, and people have different feelings of naming, naming the whole rodeo arena, I think is how this started after Gary Mulholland, who absolutely is a deserving and very involved person with that facility. But this is a major policy to decide how you're going to name amenities that will last, hopefully decades, if not centuries. So having said that, this commission spent many meetings talking about this. Jeff Bell, our former director, was a huge advocate for being very cautious of how we name things, so that it made it very difficult for us as he retired and then later passed away. We have lots of folks that wanted to honor him, and his contributions to our parks is humongous. We had no parks, and then we have the system that we do now largely due to his work and his efforts. So having, wanting to honor his, I think there's plenty of council members that said we should name a peak at Silly Mountain after him, we should name a park after him. That's not what he wanted. Well, he might have wanted that in the back of his mind, if we know Jeff. But that's not what he fought for, and so I feel like that does not honor his memory. And so we really wanted to do something that would be meaningful, though. And our softball complex, so softball, our softball leagues, our baseball, those were things that he started, those were some of the first programs that he started when he was with Parks and Rec. We met with Mary Bell, his wife, and their kids to talk about what are ways that would be meaningful and that fit into our policy. And so I think what we narrowed it down to is that we'd like to dedicate the softball complex to Jeff. It's not necessarily going to be named after him. That doesn't follow this criteria. But having a very meaningful and I think our plan is to have a display that is an interpretive signage that's really nice, that will talk about the history of our parks and Jeff's legacy in bringing all that to our park. And in so doing that, it will be dedicating the softball complex to his memory. Having a little tournament on that same day, doing something to honor him. We had wanted to do something, I would say, a year and a half ago, but COVID just really kept us from being able to do it in a way that we wanted to. We didn't want to just put it up and hope people saw it, so we really wanted to be able to have an event. So with that, if you might not have had a chance to read through this, you don't have to read through it today. We are not deciding today. I just wanted to hear your general thoughts, especially some of you that might have, been around when this was developed, and to share your individual thoughts for us to maybe think back. We'll be bringing it to a future agenda item for you to vote on, one way or the other, and then it does have to go to the city council, and they will also have to vote on it. We'll be giving them a heads up that you guys are just talking about this, because again, it's probably a 4 or 5 year old policy that almost nobody on the council even knows why we do what we do until we kind of share with them. It just it hasn't happened a lot. So with that, I'm going to be quiet and turn it over to you all with questions or comments.
I think it's a great idea. I mean, he did put so much into this community, and it's a great way to honor someone.
I guess my only question is it enough?
Yeah.
It seems kind of small. As I read through this policy, and I don't know, Joel might not agree with this, I don't know if we can talk about the policy itself tonight, but the naming policy seems to be like you can buy your way into it, but you can't earn your way into it without money. And in Jeff's case, that just seems to be wrong.
And there might be the ability to name the complex, the softball comp. So again, I think I will just tell you, and Wayne, maybe you can, how many of you were here whenever, Frank, did you go through this too? No? Judy and Wayne, you're the only
I
two
was
that,
here for the Gary Mo.
I mean, am I wrong that Jeff does not, he was adamant that people, that we shouldn't name Prospector Park Jeff Bell Park or Gary Mulholland Rodeo Arena. And that was just something
Somewhat adamant.
I think he's the one who brought this policy and trying to make it this way. So I think it's just hard
Well,
to
see,
figure out,
What I struggle with though is, we can't name it Jeff Bell, but we could name it Wally Wallbanger if he gives us enough money.
yeah.
And that to me is wrong. I
The
mean,
likelihood of them doing that is,
people shouldn't be able to buy their name onto a park. We see that in sports,
right,
where all our sports arenas now are named
Yeah.
after some company. Well, this policy seems to offer that opportunity, and while we don't deal with it today, there's a lot of changes going on in Apache
Right.
Junction these days, and a lot of money is moving into town, and we don't want people to buy our park names.
and
When
so
we
here's
can't
my
do-
only concern is that our changing this policy means you guys, us doing a lot of research
Yeah.
and a lot of discussion, and then council also has to see that, and so then by fall,
Well, I don't think I'm not
Right.
talking about Jeff, I'm looking
Yeah.
bigger picture than that.
yeah, I think,
Well,
My concern with Jeff is.
yeah, and it's okay for us to talk about the policy today, so that's part of this whole discussion. But if we wanted to kind of bring that back, I mean, that's certainly,
and I think we want to keep this AJ legends, people that are, legend-worthy.
might be an extra criteria that's part of the naming.
Because, really, there's just no room in here to,
I would say both Jeff Bell and Gary Mulholland fit the need for this. Jeff was not looking at denying Gary the deal.
The what? I'm sorry, say that again?
The nomination for the rodeo park. He just wanted it laid out of why. And Gary was involved with Jeff back in the early days before the current stadium was even built.
Right,
And that's where Lost Dutchman days originate at,
right.
which was ran by his organization. Now, Jeff Bell,
Dedications?
he was a key one who kept Bureau of Land Management from doing things because there were some people who were trying to force a change. That was back when you were doing your other job, Liz.
So I was heavily involved with the corporate partnership and sponsorship stuff with Jeff.
Yeah, no,
So-
I'm just referring, and
Yeah,
because we're looking at now of Prospector Park, isn't that all part of the BLM land we're purchasing right now?
no, just the rodeo grounds, the
Oh,
20
just
acres of the
the
rodeo
rodeo
grounds,
grounds.
yep.
Okay, that would be a different deal, but
But we
still,
have the ability to name something that is our property on BLM
yeah,
right now.
but I do remember us going through a lot of work on this. That's the best I could tell you. I'd have to read through it.
Well, and
again.
we do have video of a lot of those. So again, those are some things that you could look at. And so again, maybe there's two separate things. Doing what the family, is interested in, which is the dedication. And then, really looking at this naming policy and seeing if there are changes that we want to make to it. I will say that, and we can easily find the video through Legistar and forward that to you guys to look on your own to see. I will tell you that I was pretty involved in a lot of the research for that and in meeting with Jeff. And while he wanted it to be your guys' decision, he did have very strong feelings about, it's a hard position to be put in when somebody feels that they have lots of wonderful contributions to share that and for a group to say, no, that's not enough, where do you draw the line? So Gary Mulholland is in, but you know, I don't know who the other person is, but Joe Schmo is not worthy enough of a name. And so those were some of the discussion, and maybe it's sharing with you guys some of that old video footage, and you guys can look through it and hear some of the reasons. And also we can look at what other cities do and what are some of the other policies.
I think that'd be good, only because with me coming in, I don't know him.
Absolutely.
And I would like to know him to see what he has passed on, because that could be inspiring for me or many others to actually try to strive for that same goal. So I think putting some information, letting us know, or who else who doesn't know who he is, so we could kind of get caught up.
Liz, I got a question for you.
Okay.
Weren't you the first teenager hired by Jeff to
I
work
don't
in Parks
know.
and Rec?
No,
No?
but good try.
I'm not trying to.
I know, I'm just joking
I'm
with
just
you.
saying,
She
you
wasn't a
know,
teenager yet. She was.
you-
I know.
You were here a long time.
There were many people before me.
Well, you.
In fact, I took some of the first swimming lessons maybe, but I was not one of the instructors. I did gymnastics and swimming before we had a pool here, actually.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I just mean, Jeff used to talk about you being one of his early hires.
that is definitely
Especially
true.
after you got done with ASU.
Right. He had been part of the city for many years before me, so I mean, he'd already done so many great things just in his short 5 to 10 years. So overall, back to our original topic, which is dedication of Prospect or the softball complex and having something. So again, we're talking about a meaningful, like, interpretive display that would be out by the flagpole that's at the front entrance, would have photos as well as a history of his contributions to the whole park system. That site in particular is very important to him, and that was one of the things that the family was really interested in, as we looked at many. So Silly Mountain was very important. There's several different ones, but that was the one that they really kind of wanted to focus on. So is there agreement that that's something that we'd want to have some interest in happening? And we're not voting like, yes, we're going to do it, but is it fine that we would bring back this to the next topic, share a little bit, maybe a little more history of Jeff in general, and explain why it's we'll follow this a little bit more of why it fits the criteria. But we do want to kind of keep that one moving, because I would really like to do it this fall. And we do have to start getting started on the interpretive plaque and plate that's going to be there.
Well, personally, I'm in favor of moving forward with it.
Okay.
I am too.
Question, are you looking at just the ball fields or the whole sports complex?
We're going to be, the softball complex itself is a facility that is used for tournaments and all of our leagues. So really the complex,
Okay,
so that way you have a place to kind of have an entry location for all of that. Doesn't mean that in the future you couldn't name some other park after him. If that's what you,
Not according to this
There you go.
policy. Not according to this policy.
I said, what I mean is if you chose to change it or to add a
But on that-
criteria.
On that subject, with the new parks being built in town now, how are they going to be named? Are the developers going to pick that?
So it depends. So yeah, sometimes, so again, go to this list. There are other ways of naming a park that don't have. So it might be described, it might be like how we picked them, but if it's as part of a development, we are going to let them come up with what is part of their name of their facility. So they are naming those, mainly because they are shared facilities. So that's a little bit different. But as long as it's done in the early stages during design, it still fits into this policy.
So we don't have to worry about naming those.
No, we don't.
they may not
There's a
let us
typo.
name them.
You see the
Well,
typo?
that's okay.
No, tell me, it's
Acceptable,
a
number
very,
one.
which one?
You see, number 1,
Okay.
acceptable, the exclamation point.
Is that what it might just be my copy.
Is it? I think.
Yeah, but it does look like an exclamation point, so it might be. And then maybe just keep in mind the value of volunteer time does not apply to this criterion. So again, I will share with you some of the past history, and you can hear from Jeff himself of, as you guys discussed, how these all got on here. All right.
Got to meet him just before he retired.
Okay.
I was appointed just before that.
Well, if you played tennis, you would have run into him a lot.
That concludes
Okay,
that one.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I was not listening. I wasn't paying attention.
Okay, we've got that. Discussion on engaging new community members.
So Chairman Standage, I'm going to turn this one over to Commissioner Shanebeck. Had asked that this one be added to our agenda and just kind of let him explain what his thoughts were and to start the conversation. It might not be things that we have, we'll have the answers for today, but it might be a great,
I just
bring
wanna
it to
open
the next one.
discussion. Yeah, because it involves the Chamber of Commerce also. I don't know what the Chamber is doing to reach out to all our new residents, but we're looking at hundreds right now moving in, and they're moving in daily, and there's thousands coming, and they're forming habits. I mean, as soon as you move into a new community, you start forming new habits. Where do I go to do this? Where do I go to do that? And we've got a window there. And that window is limited, where these people are going to form habits of their recreation, their shopping, entertainment. And how are we addressing them to try to get them to come here, both to the multi-generational center and to our shopping areas? And just to have them, by that token, become part of the community in a real sense of becoming part of the community rather than, I moved into Apache Junction, but I do all my business in Mesa.
Right.
And we don't want that. We want them to feel part of our community as citizens, as real members. And I think Parks and Rec, along with the library, have done such a great job already with how they make families so integral in the community that I think it's important that we reaching out now during this window and get them to realize we're here, get them to come here, and combine that with Park and Rec, the library, efforts from the Chamber of Commerce, and anybody else we can think of quick. But we've got a couple developments we can practice on right now, so to speak. The one on Goldfield is wrapping up, and there's a couple others just getting there. And then we got a big one coming that we're going to need to use all our practice for
Right.
and be really good at.
And how to attract them to this side of town instead
get
of them
them-
doing everything out
How to get
down
them here.
south.
How to get them to identify with Apache Junction. And
Larry-
we're going to need volunteers, I think, for that.
Yeah. I don't want to put you on the spot, Larry, but can you think of, I know you guys have done a lot of things over the years, Jamie, you as well. So like welcome, I'm saying the wrong words, but do you remember some of the stuff we've done with either developments or some of the new communities? I think we use that. Yes, just so that they can get on the video, sorry.
We've tried to meet with some of the developers, some of the home builder sales agents of some of these incoming developments and ask if we can add something to their welcome basket. You buy a new home, move in, here's a welcome basket, stuff like that gives information, day passes to multi-generational center, our citizen brochure, the multi-generational information brochure, those type of things, so that we can start to begin, just like you said, where do I go to get this? Well, here's the information right here. And be a part of that information packet of welcome to Apache Junction, here's who we are and here's what we have. And so I think that's a pretty good starting point, especially since we are in lockstep with the developers in the land down south, is make sure that we are a part of that information packet, a prominent part of that information packet, because it's a city they're moving into and we are the city. So we want to make sure that we're front and center on that.
Yeah. And do you know, are you talking to this Park and Rec right now has done that, or do you know the library has a program that way also?
I can't speak to what they have currently, but
Check with them.
But,
Makes sense.
so again, that was like Larry and Jamie's experience early on when we were having some development before the, market kind of tank. And I know those were some of the practices, putting together packets that some of them would be putting together. A lot of the developments that are across the street from the MGC,
Yep.
We were put in contact with them very early of partnering even on programs. So offering programs that they would be driven to or that they would want to be a part of, so.
So, that'd be part of the survey too, is what are the new residents looking for? So I think, it sounds like we had something pretty good going that lulled during the pandemic, justifiably so. I mean, nothing happened for between the recession and the pandemic.
Right.
there wasn't a lot going on. We used to watch this one course or a lot where we used to golf for 5 years, it sat empty, and then all of a sudden it got developed again. So these are the people we're after now that are coming in.
And speaking on, you know, I don't want to say speaking on behalf of the chamber, but as a volunteer
Right.
there, when new people come in, I make sure that they get the packet on Park and Recs. I said, you know, this is a world-class facility, I guess, yeah, facility, and our parks are the greatest, you know, in this region, in this area. And so that's why it's really important to have all of your, you know, paperwork there, because that's what people
Right.
pick
But
up. They
You
pick up,
get the ones that come to you.
right,
What I'm saying is we've got to reach out to them.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think,
And
I mean,
actually
even-
both.
Even to the point of what you say
Right.
with the developers, but even to the point of door to door. If we can get a crew together, and again, covering a lot of bases, from Chamber of Commerce point to recreation. And we have an opportunity here, and I'd like to see us take
Yeah.
advantage of that.
And a lot of people that are new to the area will come into the chamber to pick, you know, to find out what's there,
Right.
what's, you know, maps and different things. So, you know, it's a perfect way to hand out information on, you know, different programs
Right.
that are being offered, you know,
They can go hand in hand.
citizenship and leadership programs. I mean, there's just a lot we can put into a packet too, you know, for people to understand how the city works and so on.
Liz, wasn't there when they were, I'm going back before the pandemic and everything, there was, I thought there was something going towards when that got sold, that there would be a second MGC done.
I'm sure in the original, like
going way
20, like the other general plan, there was, in your guys' little mid-year, or I mean, you know, 5-year plan, 3-year plan, the 10-year plan, there was always another pool. There was design for a multi-gen center. We're not at capacity though for those amenities, and so we really need to make sure that we are, and again, for various reasons, and it's also great facilities that we have some capacity. So those aren't happening now, and the developers, those developments are going to be having some of those types of amenities that are for their residents already. And so we want to fill the gaps, and we want to, again, attract people up here so that they will shop up here and they'll get to these areas. So yes, there was a lot of that in the original plan.
Just wanted to know my mind was.
Yes, it's not, it's perfect.
So are we going to go with the idea of getting back with the developers and trying to get information?
Yeah, so I will
to them?
take that back. Again, this is an item that I think unless there was some, like you wanted us to research or look into stuff, these are simple ones that I think are great suggestions. We'll definitely take that back to Jamie and talk about, I mean, Kelly has a ton of information that they'll swag and information that they would like to share with folks. I'm sure that Bryant will be thrilled, and Janine, our economic development person who works with a lot of those developers, can absolutely put us into contact. And Larry, you're here, so you get to be volunteered to go and present and,
Sorry, Larry.
yeah.
You got suckered in.
You know, and the city does do the neighborhood meetings. A lot of those are in some of the retirement communities. We don't get as much attendance at the other, you know, family-oriented HOA neighborhoods. But those are still ways that I think getting that word out is good. But I love your development idea, and I think we can definitely pursue that.
Okay. Okay, any other questions for that subject? Kelly, did you have a question? Nope. Okay. And to our one person from the public, do you wish to say anything? I have a spiel I have to read if you want to talk. Okay. I just thought I would check with you. Okay, since we have no one for call to the public, we will go to item 10, which is call for future agenda items from here on the board.
I would like to talk about, what are we going to do next? We got Flatiron done, we got the dog park done. What do we got we're going after?
We actually did mention that we opened the dog park almost exactly, our grand opening was almost exactly 5 years after Flatiron.
All right, well, we got
So
5 years.
we're going faster than that, I think, now. What's next is truly the down south, and that would be a great one for us to bring. So that stuff is public now. Well, you've seen some of it, but we could definitely bring back and share what's happening down south. We've already shared a few of the trail things that are happening, but we can bring that back for sure of what's next.
Yeah, what's next? We talked about things like disc golf. you know,
Yes.
stuff that
Well,
we-
and so keep in mind, the strategic plan is where we're going to be finding out those items, those types of things. So finding what people really want, what they are looking for. So what's next
Survey
will
will
be
help.
guided by our strategic plan that the feedback we get. We can definitely, at one of the next meetings, come back and report back on the whole idea of how we're getting in with the developments and doing welcome back. I don't know the right word for that. There's way more creative people than me to come up with that, but we can definitely report that back, either the next meeting or the meeting after, once we find out more.
Okay. Anybody else? No. I'm looking down to my right. You two don't have anything else to add? Okay. Larry, you got something you wanna? I'm good. Okay.
Kelly, are you worn out?
He's worn out. He had a long talk. Okay. We have done all that. Selection of meeting dates, times, location, and purpose.
Chairman Standage, could I just interject really quickly before you guys do any motion on that? So we went ahead and put in, is that even the right? Oh, yeah, it is. The 4th is on Monday. Okay. For 1 minute, I was doubting myself. Sometimes we take that one off. You know, we have a lot of things on our agenda, and I think our more important thing is if people are going to be gone, maybe we look at what does July look like? What does August look like? We don't want to take off too many weeks in a row, and if we have a quorum, I'm here on that day. Doesn't mean we have to do that date if we don't have enough people. But I think that's what if you guys could, as you talk about the selection, are we going to have enough people to do a July 6th meeting or the August meeting?
Well, who plans to be here for July 6th?
I plan to be here for July 6th.
Yeah.
We got,
And
I'm here till next April.
Okay.
so we'd have a quorum.
Okay. So I'd say we just stick with it so we can keep moving our Jeff Bell dedication, our strategic plan. Okay.
Okay, we will have next on July 6, 2020 at 6 PM,
Let me make,
a meeting
Your
here
motion.
in. Oh,
Mr. Chair,
yes, sir.
I move that the Parks and Recreation Commission hold a regular meeting on July 6, 2022 at 6 PM in the City Council chambers located at 300 East Superstition Boulevard.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. You got those, Carol?
I do.
All right.
Are you ready?
Do you want to do August too?
No,
No.
we just have to do the next
Just do
meeting.
this next meeting? Okay, do you want to do a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Luciano Bouthen is absent. Commissioner Frank Shanebeck.
Yes?
Commissioner Heather Moeller is excused. Commissioner Terrell Moore.
Yes.
Vice Chair Judy Bory.
Yes.
Commissioner D.L. Kine.
Yes.
Chairman Wayne Standage.
Yes.
Thank you. It's unanimous.
Okay. Okay, we've now reached the end of our meeting. I adjourn this meeting at 7:42 on this date.
Yes.
Thank you, Carol, for the help.